Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be talking about the Washington football team meeting with Notre Dame linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah and the Washington football team also meeting with Virginia Tech offensive lineman Christian Darrisaw. We'll talk about their fits here in DC, how realistic it would be to get them at 19, and which one would be a better fit. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. So let's get right into the video. I'll also try to include a clip of Christian Darrisaw talking about how his meeting went with Washington and what it would mean for him to be drafted by the Washington football team. I'll try to include that clip at the end of the video. So like I said, we met with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah and Christian Darrisaw. We were at both of their pro days, so Notre Dame's pro day and Virginia Tech's pro day. Both Martin Mayhew and Marty Hurney were there, at least for the Virginia Tech one. I'm not sure if both of them were there for the Notre Dame one, but both of these players, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah and Christian Darrisaw, are both potential picks that the Washington football team could pick or make at 19, because a lot of people are mocking left tackles to them at 19 and linebackers. So if one of those two players are there at 19, I think they will take him. Christian Darrisaw is one of the best left tackles in this draft, and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is one of the best defensive players in the draft, and he can kind of play linebacker and a couple other positions because he is very, very versatile. So real quick, we'll talk about both of these players. Let's start off with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. So at his pro day, he was about 6'1.5", about that. He weighed in at about 221 pounds, so bulking up a bit because he was listed at 215 a couple months ago, and gained some pounds because 215, very small for a linebacker. 221 is still pretty small, but he might be able to get to 225, 230 by the start of the season, wherever he does get drafted. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, like I said, is a linebacker, but he also can, he's an elite coverage linebacker, sometimes even lines up in the slot as a cornerback, also can play kind of a strong safety type of role. He is from the DMV area, from Hampton, Virginia. Christian Darrisaw is also from the DMV area, so that is good to hear. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah in 2020 had about 55 tackles, 3 passes defended, 1.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and 1 interception. Like I said, very, very good in coverage, especially intermediate to short coverage, and it is turning into a passing league, so you want to have a linebacker that can at least be a solid coverage guy, and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is an elite coverage guy. Can force some fumbles, forced 3 this past year. Can rush the quarterback if he's asked to. He wasn't really asked to this past season, only got 1.5 sacks, but the year before had about 8.5 sacks. So if it is needed, he can come off the edge. He's just a freak of nature. He's a freak athlete. Sometimes does miss some tackles, but I think he'll develop in that department in the NFL, and I think it would be a great pick at 19. The only real concern with him is that he's at linebacker / safety kind of mold. We don't want him to come in here and play strong safety, because we have Cameron Curl who can play strong safety. We have Landon Collins, who's our strong safety. So if they view him as a true linebacker that can move around the field and go in the slot sometimes as a cover guy, then that's fine. But if they view him as a safety, then a safety / linebacker, or primarily strong safety, they might not draft him. But he's just such a good player. And one thing that is pretty important is Thomas Davis was a safety in college and transitioned to linebacker in the NFL. Could be the same thing that Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah does. Got to put on a little bit more weight, and I think he's going to be a great linebacker in the NFL, and I would be pretty happy if we ended up drafting him at 19. So now Christian Darrisaw, he's been mocked to Washington for a long time, and you guys will see what he says in the interview. But we did meet with him, Martin Mayhew, Marty Hurney, also John Matsko, our offensive line coach. They talked right there. You'll hear what he had to say in an interview, you know, he is a beast as well. About 6'4", 322 pounds. You can see his arm length right here. You know, he would fill a need for Washington. You know, it's not a huge need. Cornelius Lucas was solid last year, but he did struggle with some injuries. He's a free agent this, you know, next season, and you don't know if this is the best, you know, Cornelius Lucas. You don't know if he can get better. I know, you know, he could get better, but left tackle is probably the second or third most important position in all of football, and if you can get an upgrade at the position, especially a possible big upgrade, Darrisaw, you probably have to take it. So if Darrisaw's there, then I think they should draft him, unless there's another elite player that is still there, maybe like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. He is an elite run blocker, really athletic, really good in the run game, especially on outside zones. He does, you know, he's still a solid, you know, pass blocker, but sometimes, you know, he opens his hips too much and allows the outside or the edge rusher to get to the quarterback. To, you know, he allows some pressure sometimes, but he isn't asked to pass block as much as they run. So I think he has the traits, and we have a really, really good offensive line coach that could develop him into an elite player. So Darrisaw, I really would like this pick. Both these players, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah and Christian Darrisaw, would be great picks at 19. They both fill positions of need. I think, you know, linebacker is a bigger position of need, but I would argue that left tackle is a more important position. I think they're both, I think the Washington football team is interested in both of these players, and if any of these guys are there and there's not, you know, another elite prospect available, I do think one of these two will be selected. Again, if they are there, I think it's going to be a very intriguing draft. I like both of these guys. Like I said, both fill a position in need. Both, it's not really relevant, but they're both from the DMV area. At least I saw in Christian Darrisaw's interview, he was a fan of the Washington football team growing up. I think it would be a great fit. And Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah from Virginia is an absolute freak of nature and would fill a position in need at that linebacker position. I think he could be your will linebacker, and I think you could move Cole Holcomb to the inside and your defense would be almost complete. Maybe you still have a small hole at free safety, but besides that, you would have, you know, an absolutely nasty and elite defense.
From the Washington folks, how'd that conversation go? They're picking 19, Christian.
It was a great conversation. We had a Zoom the following day with the GM, O-line coach, and everything. We basically went over a few things that they didn't know about me, just to get to know me as a person, go over the playbook and everything. But it was a great conversation.
You grew up about 10 miles from FedEx Field. What would it mean to play for the Washington football team?
Oh, it definitely mean a lot. Just being back home and being able to put it on that burgundy and gold. Just being a fan when I was a little kid, and that'll be a dream come true.
Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you do like both of these players, if they were to fall to 19 or if they were there at 19, and which one do you like more? So let me know down below in the comments, and if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. Peace, guys.